Hi, I'm Teryl at terylloy.com, and these are my art templates. I really enjoy using these in borders and sashings, and I want to show you one of the most popular ones and show you a few hints for getting started with it. So come on, let's play. This is the design we're going to do. I call it stacked arcs. I suppose you could also call it shark's teeth. You see the little shark's tooth in there? But this is the one we're going to work on. This block is 12 inches on its outer square. The inner square is 8. So basically that gave us a 2-inch sashing around. And I used my small arc, the 10-inch arc, to do this. And I spaced these at 1/4 inch. Of course, you can vary this spacing any way you want. So to set this up, you first need to think about these corner lines and this corner line. So that tells me that they're 2 inches apart from, so if I drew here, so we have 2-inch spacing, these arcs. So I need to approximately divide the remaining space into 2-inch increments. But there is one other key element. You need to land with an even number of increments at the end of the day. You can't divide this up into 7 2-inch spaces. It will not work. You will not be able to do this design continuous around your shape. So in this case, since this was an 8-inch block, it worked fine. I marked off my 2s using a ruler, and I have an even number. I only have 4 increments there, or total you could say 6 increments. That was fine. I can do that. Over here, I made this one a little challenging, little more challenging. I prepped another block for us to do together. But if you measure this one, it is 16 inches, which is fine. But I put 3-inch sashing. So the inside block is 10 inches to throw us off. So we have 3-inch sashing here. So if I measure down, I know that's 3 inches and 3 inches. I have about 10 inches left. Well, I can divide 10 inches up. I can't divide 10 inches evenly by 3. So let's say I decide, okay, 3 1/3, close enough. That would give me 3 increments. I can't have 3 increments. I have to have an even number. So that means I'm going to have to drop down. I need to take 10 inches and divide it by something even. So if I take 10 and divide it by 4, that would come up to 2.5. That would give me an even number. So if I drew lines at 2.5 inches apart, then I get even amounts. Yes, these are a little bit narrower than your corner pieces, but it won't be very noticeable at all. No one's really going to pick up on that. So then I would go ahead and mark those same things up here on the top. Here's 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10. I do want to suggest, I know a lot of us shy away from the math, and you don't have to do the math. Grab a stencil, grab your ruler, and just start seeing what fits. You know you had to get 4 increments in here. So even if you had your 2 inches, you say, well, 2 means I have to do a little more than 2 each time. You know, just fudge it. It's okay. Just use whatever tool works for you. You don't have to do a higher math to do this. And work it in, just so you get an even number of increments inside. Okay, so then I would proceed to do that all the way around the quilt. We don't have to do all that together, but I can quickly mark a couple of them. So I'm going to mark 2.5, 1, 2.5, 1, 2, 2.5. Whoops. Oh, 1, 2.5. Okay, and there's the other one, and so forth. So you got the idea. All right, so to start this design, I would start in one of my corners. And I can certainly start down here. Okay, so my first line's going to be right there. It's a great time to grab one of my hop and foot demo tools just to put her on that corner, make sure I get it in the right place. Although I just slipped it, and off I go. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to do every other one. So now I'm going to come down to this one. I'm not going to bother to worry if it's exact anymore. I only cared about it being exact on my corner pieces. Here, if I get close to that chalk line, I'm good enough. So, line up there and here. Now what you got to think about is, once I'm on the back, then I'm going to do it on the inside. Okay, so you could basically flip this and do it this way and get the same result, right? But since we can work on both sides of this ruler, we're going to do, I'll say, a concave and a convex, or you could say a shoulder, and now I'm going to do a scoop. Okay, just remember to alternate them as you go down. So I'm positioning the ruler about 1/4 inch away from the chalk. Off I go. Didn't quite hit it, but that's okay. Now I'm going to do a back or a shoulder again. Now I'm going to do a scoop again. Whoops, missed it again, but that's okay. And I'm going to do a shoulder again. Now here again, I do want to hit that perfect, so I'm use my little tool. And I do want to hit this corner perfect with this scoop. Okay, so you get the idea. So you just continue. I'd have marks. Now I'd have to cut my thread here and then come back up here to do the next scoop. Well, I'll just do it. We'll do it together. Do a quick little secure. And then to turn the corners, remember I have a line there, and I didn't mark these, but I can mark them real fast. I'll put that at 5. Here's 2.5. I just do a couple of them. So my next scoop would be right here. So I'm going to do a quick secure. And you can see, now we would just keep continuing down and go around in the same process. But let's jump ahead and start doing some of the stacked arcs, as I was referring to them as. So I would stitch in the ditch down here. Now always put your parallel arcs or your stacked arcs on the back of your shoulders. So this is the shoulder, so I'm going to go this way. On this one, I'd go this way, as opposed to if I did them on the underneath side or the scooped side, I'd be going this way. Well, I don't want to do that. I always want to put them on the back of the arcs, not in the scoops. Okay, so I'll do 1 inch increment today, just so it goes a little faster. So we're going to come down till our 3rd line, because that's our 1 inch spacing. I'm going to do 1 inch spacing, so that means I need to use the 3rd etch line. Each of those etch lines are 1/4 inch spacing, and then if I count the 4th quarter as my hopping foot radius, that gives me the 1 inch. So I put that 3rd line right on top of the previous stitching and go again. Now here I want to very carefully stitch in the ditch, because this is our stitch on top of my previous stitch line. This little portions of the backs of these will be double quilted. The only way to get around that, if you don't care for that, is when you do this guy to double stitch it. You could stitch up and then turn around and come back. And I'm choosing to stitch up and then come down the back, but I got to do that very carefully because it will be seen. Versus over here, this is a ditch, so any of my double stitching over here is hidden, and I'm not concerned about it. Okay, so it looks like I need to go a little bit more. Put this arm down. I'll keep my hand away from that thing. There we are. That edge line's back on there. Go again. go again. So now I'm ready to do the next one. Stitch down to here. And I could slip this on there as a little guide to help me get down there, because it is the same arc. Now I'm going to come back this way. Put the third etch line. And off I go. So let's do it this time. Let's use this to help us stay really close as we go down about an inch. I'm going to check to see if that was it. Oh, yep, right on there. And then off we go. And odds are I'm not going to have room for another one, but we'll check. Oh, I do. Okay, there's an inch, so come back a couple stitches and do the final line. And I'm going to stitch very carefully down on top of that previous stitch line. And now I'm going to go again. This time I have to stitch up this back of this guy an inch so I can do him. And you can see the process from there. I'm sure you would continue down. And these are pretty far apart, but that's really cute. You could picture this like maybe in a 6-inch border with this spacing. It would make a wonderful border on a quilt. So just to recap, there are two gotchas, and I mentioned these because they got me. I did have to pick, and that is this whole notion of arcs versus scoops, or shoulders versus scoops, whatever words work for you. Make sure you alternate them, because I'll tell you what, as soon as you get two scoops next to each other, you'll get around this whole thing and they won't line up at the end, and you'll be like, what the heck? And of course it's a great picking opportunity. The other gotcha is this increments. I did make the mistake of coming up with an odd number of increments in here, and it won't work. You just can't get around the quilt and land in a consistent place. They don't connect. So those are my hints for you. I hope that works, and I hope you have a lot of fun with this design. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Thank you.